already. Alright, I'm gonna do another charcoal drawing of some, I'm imagining Russian dude, German dude, something like that. Blonde dude. That's what we'll go with. So yeah, let's get started. Slowly improving with the charcoal. I'm gonna try to just slap some on the page. All the shadow for him is on his right side of his face. So I'll try to get most of the darkness on that side. Trying to sculpt a little bit here. So right now I'm just kind of using willow charcoal powder mixed with just regular willow charcoal to almost make like a little baseline. These are some pretty thick sticks of willow charcoal, but I'm gonna use it just to plot out like the main shapes. Put his nose right about here. Or is that too high? Once again, I'm kind of squinting at the reference and squinting at my drawing so that I can get these shadow shapes as accurate as possible without focusing on details. Down here, this whole side of the face is pretty dark, but I also don't want to overdo it because, well, if you overdo it, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to put darkness on the paper and a lot harder to take it off. I'm gonna kind of plot now where the features are gonna go. So I think the nose is gonna be about here, the bottom of the nose. And the lips about here. At least that's the top lip, bottom lip, somewhere around there. The face, right about there. Line. There. This bottom part of the nose gets really dark. So it's here. Oh, this gets pretty dark. There, and I'm gonna kind of plot in angle the face, how it behaves. Here. here, everything down here dark. Once again, I'm not focusing almost at all on these details. Oh no. I'm not focusing at all on the details, mostly just on the tones and the values. Over here, really dark. Up here, really dark as well. This dark. Here as well. All right, we're kind of getting somewhere with this. And I kind of want to plot in where his hair is kind of going. Although it's not going to be super important. And I'm not going to make it very dark at all. But it is kind of something like that. And now softly, I'm going to kind of pat this down with my hand, blend it all together. Willow charcoal is pretty soft, so I don't want to do it too much because then I'm just gonna ruin all the value areas that I already did. And yeah, now I'm gonna grab a piece of compressed charcoal and really start working in these shadow shapes and make them darker where they need to be. And then come in with my kneaded eraser and make them lighter as well if needed. Again, I'm squinting at the reference, really trying to get a feel for it. It's here. And very dark. Bottom of the nose. This ear as well, fairly dark. Oh my, that always happens to me. I always break my charcoal. There as well. And with compressed charcoal, you can blend it a lot easier, simply because it's a lot less pliable. It's a lot easier to just kind of rub your hand over it. Hone in on those lips. And we'll focus on the shapes later. Right now I'm just kind of plotting in, once again, these values. And we're definitely getting there slowly. A bit of a mid-tone there, where the side of his hair starts. It's not exactly in shadow fully, but it's darker. It's like more like a past shadow. And yeah, right now the important thing really is to just kind of find the shape and make it look like him. All of this is a weird little section that he has going on here. I do gotta bring this in slightly, like that. Yeah, that looks more like him. And here stays really dark. There you go. We're getting places. And I'm gonna grab the kneaded eraser in a second and then really start refining these lighter areas. Tone here as well that leads into the darker part of the hair that's more shadow. The light's coming from the left here, so we'll keep that in mind as we draw. Might need an eraser. It's pitch black. All of this is a little bit lighter, so we're just gonna kind of come around and lighten all of this. And the nose needs to be severely lighter here. All right, now we're starting to get a nose. It's gonna be fairly darker down there, but for now, I am going to do something like this. And it's starting to read more like a nose. I don't want to spend too much time in one spot. And once again, I am not focusing on details at all. At least not yet. I'm just kind of going back and forth between the kneaded eraser and the compressed charcoal to add in these shapes. I need to be a lot lighter up here as well. And look at your reference a lot. You really want to understand what it is you're drawing. I do a lot more with graphite. I don't use charcoal, barely ever. This is my 4th ever charcoal drawing. But I mean, the principles are similar as graphite, obviously, because it's all about light and dark. Now where I kind of struggle with charcoal is knowing when to use what. It's the difficult part for me. Okay, so the shadow here, it's a little more this way. The contour of his face dips this way, like that. And he has a very dramatic cheekbone. And then it dips again this way. I made his face a little too fat before. And yeah, sometimes you're gonna make a bit of a drastic change. Don't be scared to do that, because it's gonna look worse down the line if you don't. So it's better to catch it early and just change it. And knowing that now, I know that this here needs to end more about here, the shadow. That's almost perfect. Just need to erase it here a little bit. And once again, this side is very light, so I made a lot of dark marks, and now I gotta take them off. Here is also light. We're gonna take off this shape as well. Lighten this in the middle. And yeah, we're already starting to kind of read like a person. And it's starting to look like our reference one. So here, I have a spot that's just not as lit up. And we're gonna start kind of sculpting on that side, pulling off a lot of these shadows because it's not all completely dark. So now we're just gonna kind of go back and forth and start taking off some of it. There's a little spot right there, like that. And then down here, which by the way, I'd like to kind of draw in the contour correctly. Jawline on this side looks a little sharper, so we're going to do that. And here it's dark, but this whole area here, I gotta pull my kneaded eraser onto it to kind of lighten it. Notice I'm very loose with it. I'm not, I'm not trying to be super precise. And even in doing so, we're achieving a fair bit of realism. And well, that's because you achieve realism through value, not through detail. You don't have to make things super detailed for it to look real. The fulcrum, his fulcrum here, I have to pull it down slightly. It's a little bit more of a detailed thing, but it is part of the shape. It's the shape of his lips, and I want it to read, well, like his lips, not just like lips in general. So a little more like that, yeah. Looks right. And here, we're gonna pull off a little charcoal there. And yeah, we're starting to definitely get there. I do have to pull off a fair bit of the charcoal that's here, because the shadow on his eye there isn't the same as on the other side. You'll notice that a lot the more you draw faces, that the human face isn't exactly symmetrical all of the time. We have a lot of asymmetry in our faces, And when you try to achieve too much symmetry, it starts to not look real anymore. The Bridgman's nose on the top, I think I made it a little too fat. So I'm gonna fix that here. Pulling this in slightly. Like that. That looks better. Blend it in. I have a stump, like a blending stump, but I don't know. It's just like to use my fingers, I guess. So the blending stump, I like to use a little bit of a dirty stump. Even when I'm using graphite, I like to use a dirty stump as well, because there's areas where you can add darkness, even though you're just supposed to blend in this white spot. I can literally just make a mark and it comes out dark because it's dirty. So I can add value as well as take away value with a dirty stump versus a clean stump. You can't do that as well. His ear, I kind of want to define it a little bit more. At least just the shape of it. Make it correct. How's that looking? Not quite. But we're getting there close. Pretty close, pretty close. And the other ear, just gonna kind of go here with this. It's a little lighter, so I really don't want to push it too much. But it's hidden a lot actually. It's actually more like this. Because it's hidden more by the cheekbone that's protruding off the side of his face. We want the ears to match up though. In size, just that doesn't always necessarily mean that they're the same size. And that sounds a little weird when I say it like that. But yeah, if his face is slightly angled to a direction, one ear is gonna look smaller. But if you draw it too big, they won't look the same size even if they are the same size. Go back to the kneaded eraser, pull out a little bit of value here. I think there's too much black up here, so I'm gonna start pulling off some of the black that's up there. It's too dark. And yeah, you could definitely see it's definitely started to read like a person, that's for sure. So right here, there's a shadow that doesn't need to be there. I just need a little bit like how it is there. Once again, I'm not too focused on the hair yet, but I am gonna, once again, try to see at least the size of it, where it's going, what it's doing, which is something like that, more or less. I'm not too focused on that because I want to draw all the attention to the face, so I'm not gonna make the hair super detailed or, you know, like a big part of the drawing. Now, I do have to do a lot of pulling off in this bottom right section of the drawing. And I gotta add some dark as well because right there is extremely dark on the reference. Right here's a lot lighter. Is that about right? I need to bring this down. More like that. And then here is darker, here is lighter, lighter here again. And now we're starting to go from like a little bit more of a blocky look to it's starting to look a lot more round. And I'm gonna start to kind of work on that, his right eye, our left. I'm not gonna do the other eye at all because the other eye is completely in shadow. But this eye is not. So we are gonna start to pull some of this eye out. And I gotta pull this. Pull this one this way. That doesn't look horrible, but it's not right either. That's too long. I'm gonna get some of that off. And that's a lot better. I do need a slight bit of a right here like this. And yeah, once again, we don't need very much more shadow, or not shadow, very much more detail than this for now. I guess, I mean, I could add in some eyelashes, although I did fuck it up. They're way too long. He's not a girl. Okay. Now, for marks like that, I do need to use a blending stump because, yeah, if not, it's just not gonna blend as well. Like when they need an eraser, pull some of it off because I didn't need it to be that dark. And the bridge of the nose is fine. However, there's a little bit more texture here in the bridge of the nose than I had originally thought. So I'm not really gonna even blend that part in because I want it to look textured like that. This highlight that I put up here doesn't need to be this big either. So we're gonna start kind of blending this in. It's a lot smaller. It's more like this. Okay, and now we are gonna kind of start sculpting in some of these features and adding a little bit more detail to the piece. And we're gonna do that in a couple different ways. I'm still gonna use a compressed charcoal, but I'm also gonna use a charcoal pencil. For pencil, once again, I don't know that much about charcoal, but I am gonna use hard charcoal, or medium charcoal, sorry, not hard charcoal. I don't wanna use soft charcoal because I'm gonna be using lines for fine details, and I need the fine details to stay in the same place. That's just at least my rationale. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's how I'm gonna do it, so. I need solid contours, and I can't do that with soft charcoal. here on the eyebrows, he has a lot of very fine hairs, which we're gonna kind of add in here. With a pencil. And it's already reading way more like an eyebrow. Here as well. The other side is too much in shadow, but I'm gonna see if, okay, he does have a little bit of a defined outer side here. However, I need to lighten this side on the outside here. So in this stage, I'm still gonna be obviously using the kneaded eraser a fair bit, just to make sure that I get all these shapes correct. But it's definitely starting to read a lot better as a, well, as a person. And I'm gonna kind of start to define in the actual shape of the nose instead of just having a nose. Blending some. I'm gonna blend here slightly because I don't want it to be too dark. But I also want it to look like a soft edge on that side. And I am gonna pull some of this off from the bottom because his nose doesn't cast an insane shadow like that. It casts a much smaller shadow, more like that. The middle fulcrum here. I'm gonna blend that in with the stump. But it is something like that. And here I do have to pull that shadow a little further. And that is fairly dark, so gotta make sure it remains that way. Now here, I kind of like the values that I have going on in this area. However, I do need to refine it and make this bottom part slightly darker for the nostril on the side. I'm gonna blend this through. My pencil, I'm going to create a contour for the nose, like that. A little bit of a dimple here. I'm going to make sure I get that. And once again, the values in this part are slightly darker. Like this. Here, same thing, lighter, and it kind of fades. So we're gonna try to get that effect with the kneaded eraser by trying to fade it off. Down here, I do need to define this area more as to what's going on there. So we're gonna do that by making this outside part a lot lighter and adding some contours in. A lot lighter here. some of the value off on the very bottom of this little shadow here, because that's how it is in the reference, that's why. Run this in on my finger. Well, actually, with a stump, I'm gonna do. And here, like that. We're definitely getting there. I'm gonna start working on this ear on that side, and we get really dark right here. Right here. Down here. Yeah, and then the rest are kind of just midtones. We're going to make sure that the shape here is correct. Okay. We're gonna start building this ear slowly. It took me a long time to learn how to draw ears. I found it to be the hardest thing for me to draw when I was learning how to draw graphite. But over time, you kind of start to understand the ear and how it works and the different ways that you could draw it. The ear casts a lot of different shadows, and you start to see a lot of different tones depending on the person's ear and the way it's facing. And well, once again, you start to get your really, really lights and your really, really darks on the parts that are furthest out and furthest up. So that being the nose, the ear, a little bit of the eye sometimes. Now is when we're gonna try to kind of start figuring out this hair a little bit. Here, we have a little bit of value there. Same thing up here. A slight bit of value up here as well. Remember, the light is coming from this side, coming this way. So naturally, that side's gonna be lighter. Although it does cast a shadow slightly down here, because some of the hair is overlapping onto it. And there's a little bit of a shadow here, because this is where the hair parts. So there's some parts that are under others. Contours there. And then we have here. That's pretty perfect for now, at least. his hair is like, I don't even know how to describe his hair. It's like a mixture of a comb over and slick back, but it's neither. So we're gonna, I guess, try our best to get that. There's slick back, and well, the way that we're gonna kind of achieve that is the farther back it's gonna go. So that's the light source is coming from here. We're gonna make sure that the top is lit a little bit more by making this part here a little bit darker on the part. And once again, very loose. Like, I'm not really focused too much on the detail, just more the shapes and the values. If you start to focus too much on the detail, you get lost in them, and then you'll have a shitty drawing that just took you a long time. A lot of artists online will probably tell you the same thing about detail. To not focus on it so much. And well, when multiple people are telling you the same things, probably because it's true. Now, I want to make sure that the hair is in the right spot in relation to the rest of the drawing. So how do I do that? You measure with the nearest landmark. So I measure with the ear, and it's slightly past the ear, which, once again, slightly past the ear on the drawing as well as on the reference. And that's how you kind of measure, more or less. Well, over time you get better with your measurements, and you learn how to kind of just measure with your eyes, almost. I can't really do that as well. I can measure my eyes somewhat, just not to the extent of some other artists. I'm still learning every day. And well, yeah, this is my 4th charcoal drawing ever, so definitely still learning. Not really explaining my process from the point of view of a charcoal artist, more of just a graphite artist. Pencil. That's what I use. And yeah, now we're gonna try to get a little bit more detailed onto the lips here. So he has a little bit of a divot that comes like this. Separator on the fulcrum there. Now his bottom lip has 2 different tones. It has a mid-tone and it has a highlight. The top lip tends to be a lot darker than the bottom lip, which is true in this as well, unless the light's coming from the bottom. But most of the time, no matter where the light's coming from, the top lip gets a shadow cast on it because it's facing downwards. In almost every lighting situation, besides light coming from the bottom, or in some cases light coming from behind with the head turned. It really just depends. Now, I don't like to focus too much on one spot. I like to move around a lot, because if I focus too much on one spot, I overdo it. And well, I don't want that. This whole bottom part of the chin here is a lot darker, but what we're going to get the compressed charcoal, make sure that it actually stays that way. Now I want to make his turtleneck a little bit textured, like this cloth. I'm not gonna blend it too much. I probably will blend it slightly, just not an insane amount. And well, just our Mexican comes up like this. Same thing on the other side. I actually did this wrong. Oh, we're not supposed to do this. Starting to look not horrible. Starting to very much read like a person. And like starting to read a lot like our reference. His hair is a little all over the place, but once again, like I told you, I'm not focused too much on the hair. Just kind of plotting it. I am gonna focus on trying to get this ear right, and then I'm gonna add in the highlight that ear has, which it has a couple. So it has really dark darks, and then it has very small strips of extremely light lights. Most of it is extremely dark though. And how we're gonna get these lights with the fine details. Probably my favorite tool that I own, a little spinny eraser. Now I'm not gonna spin too hard now because I already got most of the darkness off. So now I'm just gonna grab a new eraser tip first. Because this one's already pitch black. I make a mistake, man.
Really?
What?
It's not drying. What are good for? Tips for the eraser?
Yeah.
Whatever right there.
This is where they were.
Right there? No? Maybe they're under here.
Very possible.
I'm gonna stick those in your portfolio thing. That doesn't fall off anymore?
Where is it?
Doesn't it? Did you put them in that little pouch?
It's possible that I've taken them over there.
Maybe you have them on the other table.
And now where the fuck is the actual eraser?
You had it on the table over there. The good one? I started there.
No, mechanical. But I just brought it over here.
You have it in your hand.
It's not in my hand anymore.
Oh no.
And I don't know where the fuck it went. Yo, are you serious? Where
Maybe
did
you
it
thought.
disappear to?
Maybe you thought you had it on you. You're like. You have some stuff in here. Maybe the eraser are in there.
No, I wouldn't have put them back in here.
Oh. And it's probably over there on all your things.
They're right here.
You found them? Okay. Would you like me to organize it for you?
What?
Would you like me to organize it for you so it doesn't...
I'll do it, it's fine.
Si quieres te doy unos cuantos Ziploc bags that you can order and deliver.
Yeah, I replaced the tip. So now the eraser is more clean and I can plot in the details with it. And the lights.
I'm going to get dressed and then just go.
darker here. Yeah. And this whole bottom part is very dark as well. Nice, okay. Now I'm gonna make sure that there's a decently strong contour here. And then I'll erase the rest. So that it comes more into the view. That's looking about right. I do need to add, I feel, a little bit more value here because it's not as dark as I'd like it to be. Same here. So this is as dark as I want it. So we do that. And blend, blend, blend. Softly. Just to get that graininess out. Here. Bit of a dark spot. And now this ear, it's gonna be the bane of my existence, it seems. I'm gonna try to pull it in the right direction. It's seeming like it's more like that than the other way that I had it. Here, I'm gonna pull there. And now the lights are fairly light here, so I'm gonna take off where I need to. Here, here, tip here. Starts to get a little darker again here. Blend that in. And once again, for now, it doesn't need to be exactly perfect, because once again, it's not the main focus of the piece. The faces. Now I'm pretty much going to put every tool down except for the kneaded eraser. So start taking off some of the value here on the hair. Now, I feel like this side is pulled a little too far this way, and even though I'm not going to focus too hard on it, on the hair, I still need the shapes to be correct. So we're going to attempt to fix that. A little bit of compressed charcoal here. Actually, no, a little charcoal. A little charcoal back here to kind of pull the hair in that direction instead of to the side. But you can see just lightening the hair makes it read a lot more like hair. And all I really had to do is just make it slightly lighter, and it's already reading a lot better. And once I add in these areas more light, it'll read even better. Erase big chunks that aren't needed. Too far out this way. Pull it in. Now, yeah, I'm not gonna work too much with the compressed charcoal on the hair because I need it to be able to kind of just erase if necessary because he's blonde. So I'm gonna plot things in with the willow charcoal, and it's not gonna look perfect. We're gonna get a little bit of an abstract feel, but if you want it to read correctly. So I'm realizing here is a lot darker than the rest of the reference in that spot. And the lips here, I need to focus a little bit more on them. I'm gonna grab a new piece of compressed charcoal again. The bottom part of his top lip is darker than the top part of his top lip. So I'm gonna make sure that that's included as I render in the lips. And okay, so his bottom lip has a couple of different tones. It starts to get really dark here. Almost like if it doesn't even exist anymore here. It's just completely in shadow on that side. And then the rest of it is either really light or a mid-tone. So we're gonna kind of lean it in that direction by trying to keep the mid-tones on the bottom, because this part of the lip is slightly farther out and it's casting a small shadow onto the bottom part of his bottom lip. So for that reason, the part that I'm erasing now is lighter and that bottom mid-tone is darker. Now, with a little bit of willow charcoal, because I don't want it to be too dark, I end up erasing it a little bit. I'm gonna put a little bit of a mark there. Oh, no. I'm gonna blend this in. Yeah, that's perfect. That's what I needed. I want to make sure I'm catching the right amount of light on the right side of the face. So about here. All of this is supposed to be a lot lighter. So I'm gonna make sure it is. Oh. cheekbone. A little lighter there. I'm gonna pull this shadow shape to make it a little more round, like that. This side of the face is looking almost perfect, the shadowed side. Where I need to fix is to add a little bit more definition to this part of the face here on the left. Render it out a little bit more, at least. Yeah, I think we are done for now. Didn't take me too long, but I hope you guys enjoyed. And let me know if you guys want to see more charcoal. I'm having a lot of fun doing it, so if you guys want to see more of it, I'd be happy to make more. Final product. Yeah.